They've got Luiz, but it's Gustavo, not Suarez, heading to Arsenal. There's plenty of tiki-taka, but perhaps not enough tiki-tackle at Barcelona. And will a Pepe sale help Real get Bale? Joining me today are former Chelsea and Tottenham midfielder Gus Poyet and goal correspondent Greg Stobart. I'm David Garrido, and this is Transfer Talk. So we start off, as always, with new business. Gentlemen, it seems like, would you believe it, Arsenal are going to spend a bit of money. Bid accepted for Luiz Gustavo of Bayern Munich. What can you tell us, Greg?
Yeah, we've been waiting for Arsenal to spend some money all summer, and they need to reinforce their midfield. They've had a €20 million bid accepted for Luiz Gustavo, Bayern Munich defensive midfielder. It's kind of role they need to fill, really. So it's up to the player to decide whether he wants to move, but he suggested that he'd like to go to Arsenal, so that's looking a goer now.
Yeah, I think it's a very good signing. You know, when you're looking at how many times we talk about Arsenal spending or not, it's a good start. It's a Brazilian international that has been playing for Bayern Munich, you know, Champions League winners, and you know, is willing to move to Arsenal, which is a very good thing. So interesting. I mean, if they can get another player, Arsenal will be a totally different team this year.
Okay, from one Brazilian to another, could David Luiz be moving for more than double that fee to Barcelona?
Well, Barcelona certainly want David Luiz, but Chelsea have quoted them €50 million, which to me is absolutely ridiculous. In reality, they're more likely to accept something around 35, 40 million euros. Again, Barcelona historically don't spend a lot of money, so it'll be interesting to see whether they can stump up the cash for that one.
Barcelona would prefer, presumably, a ball-playing defender. David Luiz seems to fit the mould there, doesn't he?
I think for the way they play, it could be good. Not only because of the way he plays, also the way he, you know, when he intercepts the ball, he goes forward and joins in and makes superiority. But also got a decent pace. You know, Barcelona play quite high, normally the back four or the back three, because it's the two centre-half and Busquets. So you need someone who can go backwards and chase probably long ball from the position. So, you know, he got all the ingredients to be a Barcelona player. Then, of course, you need to adapt to that style of not losing the ball, because if you play for Barcelona, you cannot lose the ball. So you need to stop sometimes, you know, playing those long diagonals, difficult balls that normally in England has been trying.
It's clear that's the kind of mould of player they're looking at. They've made a bid for Daniel Agger as well. They've been looking at Jan Vertonghen at Spurs, so they want a ball player, as you'd expect with Barcelona. Luiz is probably the best of the options, but he's also the most expensive.
One other bit of new business to bring up to date with. We thought Manchester City had done all their business, but maybe they could be signing Pepe. What's the prospect of him joining from Real Madrid?
Yeah, of all the top clubs in the Premier League, City seem best prepared at the moment. They've had a good summer, but they're not done. Chiqui Bergerastein, the director of football, has been in Madrid to try and sign Pepe from Real Madrid. The player himself says he's happy, but Manuel Pellegrini, he wants him, he wants to bolster his defence. They're going to try and do a deal, but again, that's another difficult one to do just because the transfer prices these days are so high.
I think that the key here is that Pellegrini said it from the beginning. I think one of the first names come from Pellegrini was Pepe. So he's determined to try to get him, and there is something that probably he knows that he needs for Manchester City. Now, the longer it goes, the more difficult it becomes. You know, you are in a situation where now, if Pepe goes, for what I understand, Pepe is going to start the first game for Real Madrid, which shows that then Real Madrid needs to buy another defender, and that will create a massive problem because there is not too many, and everybody's looking at the same. So if it happens quick in the next week or so, maybe there is a possibility. I cannot see it happen too late, especially knowing that Real Madrid needs another one.
Well, let's move on to headliners, the players who've been dominating the transfer news all summer. Now, could a few sales fund the purchase of Gareth Bale for Real Madrid? Because it seems that Florentino Perez was originally balking at £100 million, Greg.
I think it's all a negotiating stance. Real Madrid thought they had Bale pretty much in the bag. They got more than they bargained for with Daniel Levy, who we know is a fierce negotiator. He wants £100 million. Real Madrid is still desperate for Gareth Bale, but they're trying to talk the price down to, it'll still be a world record, but they're trying to talk the price down to around 86 million, I think.
What is it like as a manager in this situation, especially when timing is of the essence here and we're getting later and later in the window? You yourself has had an issue like this with Dimitar Berbatov when you were at Spurs.
I think from the manager's point of view, the sooner this is concluded, one way or the other, okay? But definitely, I think I would put a date, deadline is better, because we had a massive issue with Berba. It was very difficult to convince Berba to stay. He made the decision to go. Then the club negotiated to the last minute. If I don't remember wrong, it was 11:45 in the evening of the last day of it. And he was the best player on training all week. But at the end of the week, we couldn't use him on the pitch, and he created an instability.
And also in terms of Spurs, if they try and bring in a replacement before they sell Gareth Bale, well then Real Madrid know that they have to up the value up to 100 million. They don't have to pay so much.
That's the thing. Spurs are looking at potential replacements like Lamela, who Gus I know thinks would be a fantastic signing for Spurs. So you've got all these pieces coming together, and that's the transfer window for us really. Every summer we've got three massive sagas that are going to define the Premier League season, and that's Bale, Suarez and Rooney. And at the moment it's hard to say how any of them will end up.
Yeah, like you said, in the negotiation, if you get Lamela too early, then Real Madrid knows that they already got the replacement and they are not going to offer more, and then the player is not going to be happy, which for Spurs could be fantastic. Maybe you finish the transfer window with both players at the club and it will be amazing. On the other hand, if you don't get Lamela and this goes to the end, then it's a problem for the manager. If you sell Bale in the last minute and you didn't get Lamela, then you're missing someone who's going to open up, defense in the next season. So tough. It's a situation where only probably Daniel Levy knows what is going to happen.
Well, let's compare these two situations here. We've got two players who apparently want to leave their current clubs, one being slightly more vocal than the other, I think it's fair to say. But for Luis Suarez, Gus, he's at least being honest, isn't he?
Yeah, I think the situation it looks similar. Two players want to leave, but it's totally different. First, because Luis is being public that he wants to go. Bale is being quite different and he's been keeping it inside. We know, or everybody thinks that he wants to leave, but it haven't been so publicly. On the other hand, they're totally different characters. Okay? Even if people think it's the same situation, it's totally different, because if both players stay at the club against their will, I mean, you got two different characters and you don't know what's coming. Bale, I suppose that 2 or 3 weeks later he's going to be all right, no problem trying to play. Suarez is a different character. You will never know how he's going to react. So easy to think about it, but it's very, very different to analyze because of the character.
Right, we're now into added time, which means that, gentlemen, you're facing some of the questions from our viewers. We'll start off with you, Greg. Yana Cusack on YouTube asking, do Chelsea have a backup option in case they don't sign Rooney? Of course, this is another ongoing saga along with Bale and Suarez.
Well, Samuel Eto'o has been talking up a potential reunion with Jose Mourinho, but what we do know is Chelsea are desperate for Rooney. Mourinho's made him his #1 target. He thinks if he gets Rooney, Chelsea will win the league. The question is, we know Rooney wants to go. The question is whether Man United are going to sell him, because Moyes says he's not for sale.
Christian Lopez has asked on Twitter, what is the very latest now on Marouane Fellaini?
Fellaini's still an Everton player for now, but Man United have turned their attentions to him. They've missed out on some big targets this summer. Thiago, Fabregas, of course, very high profile. They want Fellaini. They've opened talks. That's going to happen as well, I think. The question is the price, because his clause is running out, his release clause, so they're going to have to negotiate. Man United want to pay low 20s, 20 to 22 million, but he'd be perfect for United, and Moyes knows him very well, of course.
And finally, you can take this one, Gus, from Bogdan Bustan on YouTube. Is Vlad Chiriches still a Tottenham target?
Apparently not. I thought that it was a situation where the player was really, really looking forward to come to England and try to play for Tottenham. At the end of the last few days, the president of the club from prison declared that he wanted him to stay and it's not for sale. Another issue for a player who he was thinking that his future was improving, and now he's going to have to stay a player for his club.
Thank you very much indeed, Gus and Greg. That is it for today. If you have enjoyed our video, then do please press the subscribe button. Or if you want to ask a question, you can do so on Facebook, Twitter or YouTube. And if you want any more on the stories we've been discussing today, then head on over to Goal.